I have a motion moved by Michael and seconded by Barbara. Confirm the agenda as amended. Is anyone opposed to that? Hearing none, we've got quorum, Lindsay?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So I'll declare that resolution passed by unanimous consent. Any declaration of pecuniary interest can declare now or at any time through the meeting. Delegations. I have first delegation is 5.1, Robert Harris delegation, Southgate Side Road 41. It's be it resolved the council received the Robert Harris's delegation regarding an entrance permit on Southgate Side Road 41 as information, and that's moved by Jim and seconded by Martin. And everybody's had a read of that. I'm not hearing anything different, so any discussion on that delegation? Not seeing any. Okay, anyone
yes.
Opposed? Oh, yes, okay. Barbara?
Took me a second to unmute. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was wondering if we could hear from Jim Ellis about this road. My understanding is that we don't allow two driveways in a residential zone, and I think there's a lot more going on with that request. Would it be worthwhile to bring back more information, Jim?
Go ahead, Jim.
Chair.
Yep, go ahead, Jim.
Morning, people. I would defer this to Planner Stredwick to update on. This isn't your normal case, this particular situation either.
Follow up?
Yep. Go ahead.
So with that in mind, Mr. Chair, would it be worthwhile amending the resolution from received for information to referring this to the planner to bring back a report with more information, just as we are doing with those requests for road closures, purchasing or buying our unopened road allowances, that maybe we need some more information before just receiving for information and filing away. And I would be willing to make that amendment to add a clause.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that?
I'll second it, Your Worship.
Okay, Martin will second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion on the amendment?
Maybe I'll speak to it just for a second.
Sure, Dave.
I wonder if we'd save time and effort. There's a lot of things going on right now with regard to even planning. So I wonder if a verbal report right now might suffice instead of doing because this is pretty. I think this is anyway. I think hearing from the planner might just save some steps in this process.
Okay, sure. Clint, could you comment on this?
Sure. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Clinton.
With respect to this, the delegation, Mr. Harris came into the township requesting a second entrance, and he spoke with Public Works, and Public Works said they didn't support second entrances on properties. That's sort of our standard policy. We've denied when other lots have had two frontages or more. We've denied second entrances in those cases. There's been examples in Dundalk and other places. And so following that, he came to me, actually, and asked me to look into it to see if there was a way he could get a second entrance. At that time, I went and did some further research, and I found out that there's actually a 1-foot reserve put on there, and that was put on there when the subdivision was approved. And the reason it was put on there by the county as a condition was to prohibit entrances onto that road, the side road 41, I believe. And that's primarily because they want the entrances to be internal and to use the internal road, as opposed to having multiple entrances along side road 41. So technically, even if our policy was in favor of allowing a second entrance, which is not, we still couldn't issue it because there's a 1-foot reserve across there, which would prohibit us from issuing the entrance. So I don't know who that 1-foot reserve is in favor of, whether it's the township or the county. That would need to be investigated. From a planning point of view, I don't agree with a second entrance in this case. What tends to happen, and I'm not suggesting that Mr. Harris is doing this, but what tends to happen is over time when you grant these second entrances, they come in for a request for usually a severance or something to sever off that back portion because it's now a completely separate area from their front house and entranceway. They'll build something in their backyard. These are fairly large lots where then they could then sever it off and have a separate entrance onto another road. As I said, I'm not suggesting Mr. Harris is doing that, but from traffic point of view and whatnot, it's also not a particularly positive thing to have a second entrance in that location. So Mr. Harris, after I told him all of this bad news, unfortunately, he said, well, what can I do now? I still want my second entrance. And I said, well, from a staff level, we can't support it, but you can make a delegation to council and see if council is willing to entertain the idea. So that's where we are today.
Okay, thank you. Barbara?
Follow-up, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry, Clinton, I didn't know that you were on the line. I hadn't heard your voice. So thank you for that update and for updating council. That was what my understandings were. Now, if I can go back to Lindsay, in the agenda, it says that if we just receive this for information, what happens? I know that Mr. Harris has asked for an opportunity to speak to council at a later date, but what happens in this case once we've dealt with it today?
Yeah, both the delegations actually indicated to me that they would like the chance to speak to council. Basically, if it was resulting in bad news for them, is basically what I understood from their so I think that if we just receive it for information, it doesn't really do anything. Like, to me, you do have to do an amendment to either accept it and let them proceed, or to not. I need to give them an answer, or you can have an amendment for them to come to another council meeting and speak. Like, something has to be done. If we just receive it for information, it kind of goes nowhere.
Thank you. And that was my understanding too, Mr. Chair. What do you propose, or perhaps staff can help out here? Because, our delegation policy says unless you're bringing new information, and we don't know when we're going to be live in person for a delegation to come and physically speak to us. Any suggestions as to how to proceed? Because as you said, Lindsay, if we receive this for information, it's filed away and we've dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's Dave.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so I think unless council want to support this, likely the best option would be just to let it be. And if Mr. Harris is motivated to come forward at a later date, that could be his option. The other thing that maybe didn't get thrown into the picture here is is the installation of a driveway like this, a second driveway, or even a first driveway, requires a permit, which they'd have to get, and then that would, the onus of cost of installing the culvert and driveway would be on the property owner. However, a second driveway becomes then the ownership of basically the municipality to manage and replace said culvert and driveway, unless it's expanded in some fashion by the owner. That would be then our responsibility in the future to manage those entrances. So that's something I think is important for council to understand, because if everybody came forward with a second entrance, there'd be a lot more maintenance for the municipality.
Okay, Barbara?
And to that point, it's like, I'm not saying that I am supportive or not supportive. I'm grateful for all of the information staff have provided. It's not as simple as I want a second driveway, but I'm just concerned about our process in how we handle a delegation that has specifically said if it's not going in his favor, they want an opportunity to speak. So I'll pull my referral, my resolution, because the verbal update has already been provided. So I'll pull that amendment off the table with the seconder's permission.
Is that okay with you,
If that's
Mark?
okay with council.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're back to Tim Martin. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the map that he drew. The proposed shed is not just a shed, it's 36 by 46 feet. That's quite a big. What's he running there to want a second driveway and a shed that big as well, right? Not that we can have that information, but it's still quite a big building.
Yep.
So
Okay,
that's
thank
just
you.
another point to look at too, because of the traffic on that road. What's he coming in and out with?
Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, so really, the use should be residential purposes. If the use is for something more robust than residential uses, then that would be a whole other issue of rezoning the property. So to me, those are discussions, good discussions, but at this time, staff will not have that answer unless Clint knows more than we do right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so any other discussion on the main motion now? Or do we want to receive this for information at the time? And I think we'll have to look at people that want to delegate to us in person after all this is over, but that could be quite some time. So we'll have to look at what we're going to do with things like that. Okay, seeing nothing else, anyone opposed to the motion as it stands, and that's to receive this as information? Okay, hearing no opposed. Lindsay, we've got everybody still?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll declare this passed by unanimous consent. The next motion is made, it is a council meeting, I can't talk. Next motion is moved by Jason, seconded by Michael, and it's the delegation from Brian Stevenson and John Flanagan. Be it resolved, we received the Holstein Cemetery Board delegation regarding policy number 3, grants and donations as information. Is there any discussion on this? Anyone want to add anything to it?
I got a question.
Okay, Jim, go ahead.
What exactly is this cemetery?
Dave, you want to? Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so it's actually at 41 and 14. Just down the road from you.
Well, I know it's in the village, but I'm damned if I can recognize any cemetery there.
No, it's at 41 though and 14. Same side road that you're on.
Yeah?
It's on the southwest corner of 41 and Road 14, just at the end of the Heritage Road there.
Well, I've gone through there a couple of times now. I can't find anything.
Yeah, it's not in the village.
Michael here.
Go ahead, Michael.
The only thing I have is all the other cemeteries that's within Southgate are, if we give these guys the money to replace this fence, are we going to have to start spending money on every one of these ones to replace fences?
Dave, did you want to take that? Or?
Yeah, thanks for that question.
Yeah.
That's the issue. I know there's other cemeteries in need of things as well, and I think Liam has pointed out that we have a cemetery that we manage, and the others are more privately run. So, but that's the issue. If another cemetery needs something, that would be someplace we'd have to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. Anyone else have anything else on this?
Jason here, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
As to our cemetery in Dundalk, did we take that on right at amalgamation, or when did we take it on? Once again, we're seeing the cemeteries at that side of the township that we are looking after, and I understand this guy's point of view. When it came to council earlier, I was like, 24,000, no way, but I'm wondering if we could meet somewhere in the middle, but I'm just wondering when we took on that cemetery.
Dave
knows, or you know?
I know that the Maple Grove Cemetery just outside of Dundalk, the village had that long before I got here in '83, so it goes back, I don't know how far, the ownership of that, but that was a municipal cemetery back then.
Okay, no, I just wondered that, yeah.
Maybe I'll just, it's traditionally, and I don't know when tradition started. I think it's way before likely our time, but you think of Mount Forest, they have a cemetery outside of Shelburne. Every major center, urban center, seems to have a cemetery of its own. And where hamlets have not been recognized as that kind of thing, and hamlets, the community looked after the cemeteries in those cases, but.
Any other questions or discussion on this, Jim? Go ahead, Jim Else.
Yeah, just chiming in with Dave there, just on Sligo Road there at 04, Mount Forest has a cemetery in Southgate, so, which they manage here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think past history, not just here, but in general, the cemeteries originally were put up by the churches and that. And when people didn't belong to any church or anything back then, that they went to the municipal one. So I think that's where the separation was, and that goes back a long time before any of us. I'm not necessarily saying that's the case here, but that's the case in general around the province. Okay, so does anyone have any suggestions on what they want to do with this? Receive it for information, or does anyone have a motion to do anything else? Okay, not seeing anything.
Yeah.
Oh. Go ahead, Martin.
Well, I'm looking at their books, and they don't have a lot of money, but my question was, if it was $27,000, what kind of fence are they putting up? They have $13,000 in their bank. What kind of fence are they looking for? That was never stated in the delegation, was it? So maybe they should come back with a little bit more detailed plan of what kind of fence before they go asking for money.
Okay.
So I don't know if we want to meet them halfway, but it does set a precedent again, right? So
yeah.
This could be something again that could bite council 10 years from now when we're not even involved, and we've come across that in the 2 years we've been starting with different things going on in the past. So it's I'd say just I just say let it go for information, and if they want to come again when we're all through this COVID and state what kind of fence they're doing, then have another delegation. But that's my opinion.
Okay. Thank you, and I think that's probably a good way to go, is to receive it for information, and once we can get down the road a little bit and everybody has some time, they want to revisit this, we can. So, any other discussion on this? Hearing none, all opposed to receiving this for information? Hearing none. Lindsay, everybody still here?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll declare that motion passed by unanimous consent. Have a motion to adopt the minutes from April 8th, 2020 special meeting as presented, moved by Martin and seconded by Barbara. Any comments on that? Okay, seeing none. Anyone opposed to receiving for information or to adopting the minutes? Okay, seeing no one opposed. Lindsay, we still got everybody?
Yep.
And I'll declare that one passed by unanimous consent. 7.1.1 from Kevin, Southgate Rural Lawn Maintenance Award Contract. Received staff report REC 2020-003 as information, and the council awards the lawn maintenance contract to 5-Star Cleaning and Maintenance Company. And that is moved by Jason, second by Michael. Kevin, did you want to add anything to that?
Just the big increase is due to the Sugar Brush parking lot. Before he tendered that out at $45, and I was talking to him, and he said he didn't realize how big it was. He was losing a pile of money on it the last 2 years. So the biggest increase is that Sugar Bush. It went up by $105 per cut. The rest went up pretty much a standard amount over a 2-year difference in the contract.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from anyone?
Jason here, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just seen it at your cemetery 41. So is that's the cemetery we were just talking about? We cut it there. Is that right, Kevin? Or no?
No, I don't think it's the same one. The cemetery 41 and 09 are little wee things that haven't been, like, you can't even see them. They're so small.
So I just wonder if that's the same one we were talking about on 41.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just found it funny if that was it, then we cut it there. So.
Yeah. Dave?
Yeah, so we do have cemeteries around that are inactive and are not maintained, and we have had to assume those and manage those.
Okay. Any other, Martin?
Yeah, I had the same question, and I did ask Kevin, and Kevin, thanks for getting back to me right away. I drive that a lot. I know where the cemetery is that we just talked about, but I thought those cemeteries were ones that are seen, but I drive that way, and I don't even know where they are myself. So if we have to assume things like that, so be it. We pay for it, but so it's all good. I'm okay with this.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Anyone opposed to this motion? Seeing none. Lindsay, we've got everyone still?
Yep.
Thank you. I'll declare this one approved by unanimous consent. Next up, thanks, Kevin. Next up, we have 7.2.1, the accessibility multi-year plan and 2019 progress report. And that's be it resolved, council receive staff report CL 2020-011 for information, and that council approve the township's multi-year accessibility plan and the 2019 accessibility progress report. And I have Barbara and Jason as the mover and seconder for that. Lindsay, did you want to add anything to it?
Not a whole lot to add to this one. So we have the multi-year plan here. You guys have seen this before, and the progress report you've seen too. 2019, just stuff we did for the accessibility standards, and the multi-year plan just kind of sets out what we'll continue to do to get ourselves trained and everything like that. So if there's any questions, I can take.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Anyone opposed to the motion? Okay, hearing none. Lindsay, we've still got everybody?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll declare that motion passed by unanimous consent. 7.2.2, and this is the CL 2020-013, the council calendar amendment during COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm not going to read this one. It basically is saying that what we're doing is we're meeting at 9 a.m. and if that doesn't work, we'll meet at 7 p.m. that night, and that we'll resume our schedule once this is over. Any discussion? And that's moved by Jim, second by Martin. Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none. Anyone opposed? Okay, hearing nobody opposed. Lindsay, everybody's still here?
Yep.
Thank you. I'll declare that approved by unanimous consent. 7.3.1. This is the PW 2020-024 hot mix paving tender. And it's moved by Barbara, seconded by Martin. And that's it. We received the report for information, and we award the hot mix tendering to the Murray Group for $602,000 and $602,300 plus HST. Jim, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just I know last year we brought back to council about some of the long stretches we do, and that the use of the shuttle buggy to have more consistent paving. We've indicated that and included that in this one, so it's not as an extra or whatever. It's been incorporated in this report. So.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments on this? Barbara?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jim, the financial implications of the $602,000, if I'm adding up the various budgets, it looks like we're in good shape as far as that bid. Are we, I mean, I think when I do the math, it comes in around the right amount, but are we up or under at all? Good news or bad news story?
Well, we've included a couple patches where we'll probably fund that through some pavement rehab budget that we had. The Wilder Lake Road project, we extended a little bit more paving there at this point in time to try and get around to the landfill into the transfer there while we have operations there. We may be a little bit tight on the Wilder Lake budget because there is 5 culverts to replace. Also, we're waiting for SVCA approvals. But that one there, we may have to. I think on the Road 22 project, we'll be under. So hopefully, we can balance things out with all we want to accomplish.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it's a good idea if we can tack little bits on the end and get a better complete job around areas. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Anyone opposed to that motion? Hearing none there. Lindsay, we've got everyone still from council?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll declare that passed by unanimous consent. Next, 7.3.2, that's PW 2020-025, and that's a Dundalk Water and Wastewater Rate Study Request for Proposal, and and that's to receive the report and to request the award goes to Sherritt Water Management Limited, amount of $14,140 plus HST. And I have Jason and Jim moving that. Jim Ellis, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so this closed Thursday, and we went in and got some packages to review over the weekend. And with the Sherritt one here, there was a reference, and it was from Clearview Township, and Mike Ron, who's was on the Georgian Bay Waterworks executive. I did talk to him about Sherritt. They've been doing their work for a while. They're pleased, said great to get along with. He seems like he's a one-man show, according to what's come into us. He can expedite this and start working on it immediately. He has a timeline for late June, before July approval for this to come to council. So those timelines work a little bit better, and we're grateful for what Watson's done for us in the past. The numbers are a little all over the map for how you put things in a few buckets here on how they came in, but we believe Sherritt did a good job for us.
That's good. Thank you, Jim. I always get concerned when we change from one to another to see how they're going to be work with, but you seem pretty comfortable with this one, so that's good. I'm glad to hear it. Are there any other comments or questions from council? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion to receive for information and to award the tender? Or anyone opposed? Sorry. Anyone going into old habits? Anyone opposed to the motion? Hearing none. Lindsay, we still have the 6 here?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'll declare that motion passed by unanimous consent. Look forward to getting that done. Next is 7.4.2. It's bylaw 2020-022, and that it. One minute. I jumped one. The CAO report 2020-030, the Wellington North Southgate Recreation Agreement approval, and that's to receive it for information and to approve the new agreement as presented and pass the bylaw, consider the bylaw. That is moved by Barbara and seconded by Martin. Dave, did you want to add anything to the rec?
No, I think the report pretty well covers everything. This is just, we had a look at it through council and then sent it back to them and they've approved it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments or questions on this? Okay, hearing none. Lindsay, we still have everybody, or just a second, is anyone opposed to this? Hearing no one opposed, then Lindsay, do we have everyone still?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll declare this motion passed by unanimous consent. Next up is the bylaw. It's bylaw number 2020-022, Wellington North Recreation Agreement approval. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2020-022 being a bylaw to authorize an agreement between the Corporation of Township of Wellington North and the Corporation of the Township of Southgate be read a first, second, third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the acting clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and entered into the bylaw book. And that is moved by Michael and seconded by Jason. Any discussion on this? Martin?
Yeah, I think it's great that we can get this, and I just wanted to comment on some of the wording in the report. I'm really happy to see that it's not just a case of getting money from a grant, a government grant, but in the report it's emphasizing it's not just public money, but it's to encourage the private sector investment, and it says to encourage private sector investment in the commercial buildings to attract new business and jobs to to the vacant storefronts. As I said, the emphasis is not just the municipality. The landlords and the tenants and the citizens have to get behind it too. So if they see us doing this, it's money well spent, because hopefully it'll be a ripple effect for everyone. So I think it's great. Money well spent. Just a comment.
I think you jumped one, Martin. We're on the bylaw for the recreation. Yeah, we're on the bylaw for recreation.
Sorry, I have no problem.
Those were
well,
really
I'm not going to repeat it. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. They were really good comments anyways, and so, yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Anyone have any comments on the bylaw for the Wellington Rec agreement? Hearing none, anyone opposed to the motion?
So we'll do a recorded vote, John?
Oh, okay, for bylaws?
For the bylaws, yeah.
Vote, that's right. Yep.
Okay, so recorded vote for bylaw 2020-022. Councillor Dobreen?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne is absent. Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Councillor Shearson?
Yes.
Councillor Frew?
Yes.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Okay, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. Now I want you to keep Councillor Shipston's last remarks in mind as we go about this motion. It's CAO report 2020-031. It's the Southgate RED funding agreement approval report, and it's that we receive the report as information and that we approve the application for streetscaping of downtown Dundalk on Proton Street upgrades, and that we approve the RED funding agreement by municipal law. That is moved by Michael and seconded by Jim Frew. Dave, did you want to add anything to this one?
You're
No,
muted,
mic's
Dave.
not on. Yep.
Yeah, it was a good speech. This was the RED funding application that was approved last fall, and kind of through email mishaps didn't get through as quickly. So, but anyway, I think it's rather timely, and we can do some investment downtown coming out of this COVID thing. I'm sure they're going to likely give us more timelines to get things done, because it's just it's not very good timing, but it is good timing. So in a couple ways, but that's the report that we can get some help to do some things and make it more attractive downtown.
That's great, thank you. I'm glad to see that some of this funding is still coming through. Any discussion on that? Barbara?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Dave, I just wanted to know, are we doing all of those things? It's a requirement of the funding, and that's what we applied for. So the obligation is to put in all of those things, or are those examples of what we are looking to do with that money?
Go again. The latitudes are, kind of within that framework, but if we go up on one and down on another, that won't matter quite so much. But it's basically those key areas that we're going to focus on, and that we need to go through. We couldn't do something drastically different, but we can, do less hanging baskets and more benches or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you.
That's good.
Yep. Any other questions or discussion on this? Seeing none, anyone opposed to this motion? Seeing nobody opposed to this motion, is Lindsay, we still have 6?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'll declare this motion passed by unanimous consent. Next up, 7.4.4. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2020-030, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement between Her Majesty the Queen and the right of Ontario, as represented by Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, and the Corporation of the Township of Southgate be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the acting clerk, sealed by the seal of the corporation, and entered into the bylaw book. And this is moved by Barbara and seconded by Jim Frew. That's the bylaw to go with the red funding. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, Lindsay, I'll get you to take the recorded vote on this, please.
Yep. Councillor Shipston,
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury,
Yes.
Councillor Rice,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne is absent, Councillor Frew,
Yes.
Councillor Dobreen,
Yes.
Councillor Shearson.
Yes.
I think that's carried.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have 7.4.5, CAO Report 2020-032. This is Flato gift agreement with the Southeast Grey Community Health Center Southgate for a Dundalk Medical Center project. I'll just read this one as well. Be it resolved, Council receives staff report CAO 2020-032 as information, and that Council approved the Flato gift agreement with Southeast Grey Community Health Center and the Township of Southgate agreement as presented to support the funding of the new health clinic build project in Dundalk over a 20-year period. Council consider approval of the Flato gift at the April 15th meeting, municipal bylaw. And that is moved by Jason and seconded by Barbara. Dave, did you want to comment on this? This is really fantastic news, like over-the-top fantastic news.
Yeah, it is. And Al Madden and myself, we've been working with Shakir for some time on this. And anyway, you know, the COVID thing has kind of put a damper on it because obviously we'd like to have some more excitement created by this because I think it is a major story for Dundalk. But I got a phone call yesterday that he wants to write the check and he wondered if it's okay to take it to Southeast Grey, and I said I'm not going to stop you. So that the check is actually for this year's coming Friday to Southeast Grey, and the whole idea will be that money will be put forward to start the design process and advance money that we're waiting on to get from Health Ontario. And there's 150,000 should come from them once it's approved. And again, that's kind of being slowed down because of the COVID environment we're in administratively downtown Toronto. So, but just an awesome story. He does want to have a sod turning and get some dignitaries here announce it. And I mean, the goal, I can't believe some of the discussions we're talking in the next 2 years of, actually something really happening on the property. So we're also working with Grey County. This is kind of an aside to this report, but we're working with Grey County on using our property on Dundalk Street and the county's property on Proton Street to work together, one being parking lot and one being a medical center, and that could be yet to be determined which property the medical center goes on. Do we need more parking or more building space? So, and kind of working the rail trail, the recreation trail into this whole design. So, those are discussions going on through planning and public works and the county of Grey planners to those discussions with. Just an awesome story, I think, for the community.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, this is huge. From a couple of years ago, where we had one part-time doctor, to what we have at the existing medical center and what's planned for the future. Just, to me, beyond amazing. So, thank you. Any other questions about this from council? Okay, Barbara, then Martin.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dave, I know the agreement it's between the Township of Southgate and Southeast Grey Community Health Center. And because this is something new for us, receiving fund, we're approving the gift? Or can you explain how we're involved in that? Because it sounds like it's going to Southeast Grey, it's their project.
Yeah, yes, it is. And I guess the tie-in is really our commitment of the land that we've already made. And, and Shakir wants us involved in it so that we, stick handle and work with them to get this done, because he feels it's an important fixture in our community that's going to support our community. One thing that's kind of unique about this agreement too is he's asked for a place at the board table, and the executive director supports that because the leverage that a fellow like Shakir could give us, or for to get support elsewhere, I think would be very helpful on that board. So, yeah, our involvement is not really handling money, but it is our going to be our facility in our community. And he wants us to be involved in some of this other stuff that could be happening. I mean, there's even discussions of an extension of Chapman House. Southeast Grey Community Health Center are partnering with Chapman House. And we could have even, palliative care beds within this facility, maybe up to 2 or 3 beds, so that loved ones could, come to end of life in their own community and have friends and family nearby during that time. So that's just one idea that's being floated out there. But I think as much as anything, the land deal for sure, but he wants us at the table being part of these discussions so that the facility is going to be kind of like a glove that fits the community, and we have some say in that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Martin, you had a comment?
Yeah, that was one of my questions, actually. The other comment, thanks, Dave, for answering it. For the money that he's giving us, to have his name on the building and to have somebody as a director of the board, it's the very least we could do for the man. And he is building the community here, which needs a medical center. So, as Dave said, we're all tied in it together. One question that could be an aside: what is eventually going to happen with the Erskine Community Center? Is it still going to be used for health reasons, or opened up to something else?
Yes. So the Erskine Center will definitely be used in the future. The plan is, and again, if COVID hadn't have come and hit us, we would have taken you for a tour of that facility. They've invested, and I'm going to say a couple $100,000 in the building that they got through grant funding to increase the quality of the building. I mean, they put a new heated floor in the basement, new windows. They've redone upstairs, and it's going to be more of a programming facility. If you've been up at the Markdale facility, they've got what they call the well. My interpretation is that this facility will be part of that well and programming type services going forward. A place for the seniors to meet, kitchen for whatever. There's all kinds of services and capabilities there. And if you were able to come in and see it, and we will someday, it will broaden your horizons of what we can do with the building now that it's been kind of given a facelift.
Mm-hmm. And just to add to that, their plans are, whether it's the Erskine Center or the Lions Medical Building, that those buildings are to be used in the future for the public good. That's kind of their determination on that. What shape that takes will be determined down the road, but like Dave says, there's been a lot invested into that Erskine Center for sure, and as well as the other. Yeah, Dave, go ahead. Yeah,
and thanks for bringing up the Lions. That's something that we shouldn't forget. Al's working with the Lions, and they're going to be a part of this discussion at the new facility, because there's no naming rights inside the building been allocated. And there is definitely a plan to retrofit the Lions facility into something else, whether that's, affordable housing but those are discussions that are going on. It's kind of we're not leaving anybody behind. There's still going to be uses for every one of these locations, and give us a new, exciting place for people to get well and get healthy and get treatments that they need locally.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other discussion on this? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the motion? I did it again. Anyone opposed to the motion?
So we'll do another recorded vote, John.
Okay. This is just for the motion and then for the bylaw recorded, or do you want?
Oh, sorry. I'm ahead of myself.
Okay, that seems to be a theme today. I've heard someone else do that. So anyone opposed to the motion to receive this and to approve the agreement? Anyone opposed to that? Hearing none. Lindsay, we still got 6?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll declare that passed by unanimous consent. Next, 7.4.6, be it resolved that bylaw number 2020-029, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement between Flowing Developments Inc., Southeast Great Community Health Center, and the Corporation of the Township of Southgate, read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the acting clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and entered into the bylaw book. That is moved by Martin and seconded by Michael. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you do the recorded vote, please?
Yep. Okay, Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne is absent. Councillor Dobreen?
Yes.
Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Councillor Shearson?
Yes.
Councillor Frew?
Yes.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
That's carried.
Thank you. What a huge step for our municipality to have 2 organizations like Flato and CHC working so hard to do something in our community as this. This is going to be quite the build, so I'm really excited about that. 7.5, this is moved by Barbara, seconded by Jim, and it's the financial impact of COVID-19, and I'll read the motion. Be it resolved, Council receives staff report FIN 2020-007, financial impact of COVID-19 as information, and the Council directs staff to bring forth the bylaw to amend Section 4 of Bylaw 2020-002 to extend the penalty-free period to July 1st, 2020, and that Council directs staff not to assess penalties or interest on water, wastewater, other than outstanding municipal invoices until July 1st, 2020, and that Council will reassess relief measures after July 1st, 2020, once impact of this decision on cash flow is known. And that one is moved by Barbara and seconded by Jim, as I said. Liam, did you want to add anything to that?
Report. We've gotten lots of requests for various types of relief measures, and we've always said that at this point we're not applying the penalty however, we are at this point per bylaw we are required to apply the penalty. But for administrative purposes, we haven't applied the April 1st penalty because it's a lot easier to apply it later than it is to remove it later. So a lot of municipalities have deferred or waived interest for at least April and May, and mostly June. So at this point, I'm recommending to waive the fiscal for the 3-month period, and then the rest of the report is sort of is what each department head feels the impact of COVID-19 is on their department, and I plan on going through each department in a little more detail later and provide a more detailed summary as to what the overall drop of revenues and expenses are, and as well as areas where we potentially could save other costs.
That's great. Thank you very much. That's great. A lot of good information will be in that, and see where we are, because a lot unknown at this time. Any one from council have any discussion or questions?
Jason, John?
Okay. Yep, go ahead, Jason.
I'm just wondering, that this is not the politically correct statement, I guess, but I'm just like, to me, I know we're all in a tough spot, somewhere we've never been before, but I'm just worrying that this is going to put the township in a tougher spot. I know households are in a tough spot, but I'm just a little worried that it's going to be the people that were maybe having trouble paying their bills before, which, so I understand we've got to look out for them, but I just think we're digging a deeper hole for them and ourselves. But that's just a comment. That's just a comment.
Okay.
By deferring them.
Yep. Thanks, Jason. I think that's something we've got to keep in mind, is that we do have the responsibility to all the ratepayers is to do what's prudent for the municipality as well as for them. So yeah, you're right. Any other comments? Barbara?
So through the chair, I like the idea that we're not going to impose a penalty, but we're also not saying to people that you don't have to pay your taxes or your water bill. We're not waiving it for 3 months, just saying we're going to take a break and we're not going to invite any cash flow. Is that correct? And are we looking at water usage in Dundalk with everybody being at home? I know we were asked that question.
Go ahead, Liam.
So I guess the point of this is we're not delayed. The due dates have not changed. People are still required to pay us. However, we are giving a break on the penalty if they are not able to pay us right away. So by that matter, we certainly have cash flow needs of our own to maintain. So that's why we have done it that way, and a lot of municipalities have done it that way. Plus, it's a lot harder to change due dates than it is to change the penalty period. As for the water usage, we looked into whether or not we could do an average billing, and it's quite the administrative burden to export all that data and then calculate what it should be and then process it through adjustments. It would probably take 3 or 4 days of Nicole's time to do that. So what we felt, we would proceed with the regular billing at this point, and then if there's any spikes that an individual resident has, then we can look at those and discuss them as a one-off. Because we feel the consumption is a relatively small percentage of the bill. The base charge was the bigger piece of it. So residents may not be hit quite as much as they would expect they would be.
Go ahead, Barbara, and then Dave.
Thank you, Liam. That's great. I'm glad that we'll look at people on a case-by-case basis if in fact there is an issue. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, so maybe I'll go the water first because it's just a present conversation. I think we have to be very careful in that it's a user-pay system. We're charging out our costs of operations. When we see people washing their driveways, you want to use it, you should pay for it. The other part of this is if we forgive something, those operating costs are still there. And all we're doing is pushing them off into the future. And if we push them off into the future, all that's going to do is have our rate study people look at these additional costs, and it's just only going to drive costs up. So it's kind of, you know, pay now or pay later. The other issue is, you know, Councillor Rice brought up the issue, and I think it's very, very relevant that, you know, are we doing anybody a favor? There is, you know, mechanisms and reliefs in place. You know, people need to, you know, conserve on water. They need to, you know, manage their finances, and if they can't, there are, you know, bailout mechanisms that the feds and the province are putting in place to help with that. The only mechanism we have for relief at this point is delay in paying the school board taxes. So I think that will help us for the next 90 days, but I think we need to do more assessment of what is the percentage a year ago of unpaid taxes in the current year compared to this year? Is it impactful or is it much the same? I don't know. What we do know is we don't have enough information right now, and likely Liam will be working on that to, you know, flush some of those ideas out and find out what specific water bills. Hopefully that answers some of those questions, but this is a struggle as to which way.
Thank you. Jim Ellis?
Yeah, just, well, we know with the technology of our water billing system, if somebody's got a leak and the water's just running constant out, or if their consumption level's changing throughout the time because they are at home more, and you're going to see that during the daily usage or the patterns that way. So we can very distinctly still figure out whose toilet leak problem or whatever, and that's still their onus to get those items fixed because of water. But we should be able to, like we mentioned, our plan is to look at the case by case as they come, or if we see something that glares out when Nicole does billing, to differentiate pretty good whether it's a leak or it's just increase of consumption.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Jim. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Martin? Your mic's not on.
There's a perception thing too, not just the financial aspect of it, but for people to see that willing to defer interest, and that is the key word that has to be put out there. It's not a free ride, but it's a perception thing for the community, saying that the township is willing to do something at this time. So financially, I think it should be done, and I totally agree with Liam. And there's a lot of information we don't know because it's new. So I'd be interested to see the next report from all the what has happened with the money. But I think it's a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Other discussion on this?
Jason, John?
Yep, go ahead.
Right, is it 22,000 a month? The revenues will be short. You're predicting. Did I read that?
Then for waiving the penalty on taxes, it would be $22,000 a month. Yes.
Yes. Totally sympathetic. The thing to me is about this COVID situation, to the scale and the one took over the community as a whole, and I just think that amount of revenue, along with the other stuff like the arena and stuff like that, I just think we're digging people a deeper hole, and I don't see the point in it. But
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. Any other discussion?
Michael?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Oh, yeah. I'm a resident in Dundalk, so I understand. I think we need to charge at the current rate just because that is the current rate. So to give people lower rate on water, and then we incur more costs. It's got to be paid at some point, being the way the system works in Dundalk. I don't see it. I understand the interest. That's it's good in our part, but sooner or later they have to pay. So maybe they fill up the washer once or twice. Fill it fuller than what I mean. You got to do other things around it besides just looking for handouts, because there's only one taxpayer at the end of the day. So my 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thanks, Michael. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none. Lindsay, I think I'll get you to do a recorded vote on this one.
Okay. So a recorded vote was called for staff report finance 2020-007. Counselor
You
Frew,
might have your mic.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're not coming through to me, Lindsay.
Can you hear now?
Is she frozen? Oh, there she is.
Can you hear me now?
We can't lose Lindsay.
No.
My mic's not muted. Can you hear me?
No, you're not coming through, Lindsay. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, did.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna call her. She's clicking on and off.
Yeah.
Lindsay, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, let me call her.
Okay.
I just sent her a message.
Okay, good. Maybe we could get her to call in for the rest of the meeting until she figures out her problems.
My mic is on.
You said your mic's on.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Do you want to call in?
Call in?
We can't not hearing
we're
you.
not hearing you.
Yeah, I don't know why, because my mic's on.
Yeah, and we can see.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, I'll leave and come back in.
Well, hold on.
Hold on. You
Turn your mic back
turn your
on.
mic back on.
There you go.
There you go.
Here.
Yep. Yep.
Can you
Yes,
hear me?
can.
Yep.
Okay, that was weird. So we're good? Can you hear me?
Counselor who?
Can you hear me?
Through.
Customer you have dialed is currently not available. Please try your call again later.
Oh, here she, okay, there
Here.
she's back.
Can you hear me?
We see you. Yes, we can.
Okay, I have no idea what happened. Anyway, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we're doing a recorded vote for the finance staff report.
Correct.
Councillor Frew? Deputy Mayor Milne's absent. Councillor Rice?
No.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
Councillor Dobreen?
Yes.
Councillor Shearson?
No.
Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Okay, by a vote of 4 to 2, that is carried.
Okay, thank you. That was probably the longest vote had. Okay, next, moved by Jim, seconded by Barbara, that we approve the items on the regular business consent agenda dated April 15th, 2020, and direct staff with all the necessary administrative actions. Barbara, did you have?
Sorry,
Yep.
I was blocked out. What did we just do a recorded vote on? Because I thought we were still on the staff report.
It was
I
the,
could see everybody, but I couldn't see Lindsay or hear anyone.
Yes, we were, the staff report. And it was passed 4 to 2. And that staff report 7.5 item 7.5.1.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Just wanted to reconfirm where we were. I didn't miss
Yep.
anything. Thank you.
Oh, no, you didn't. And we've just moved and seconded the regular business consent agenda. Does anyone want to discuss any of those items on the 9.1? Okay, hearing none. Anyone opposed to the motion? Okay, hearing none. Lindsay, have we still got 6?
yep.
Okay, then I'll declare that passed by unanimous consent. Next, we have moved by Michael, seconded by Jason, that be it resolved, council approve the items on the correspond consent agenda dated April 15th, 2020, and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions. Any discussion on any of 9.2? Okay, hearing none. Anyone opposed to the motion? Hearing none. Lindsay, we still have 6?
Yep.
Okay, I'll declare that motion passed by unanimous consent. Next, we're on to motion, 9.3, item 9.3, moved by Martin, seconded by Jason. And that's be it resolved, council approve the items on the resolutions of other municipalities consent agenda dated April 15th, 2020, and direct staff to proceed with administrative actions. Any discussion on that one? Okay, hearing none. Anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none opposed. We still have 6, Lindsay?
Yep.
All right, I'll declare that motion passed by unanimous consent. Thank you. We have no closed session consent items. The county report, county's going through similar type things as we are. Lots of coordination back and forth between staff, especially try and have things fairly consistent across the county with the different municipalities so that we can kind of be on the same page and help out. Other than that, the lands for the expansion or the new building for Rockwood Terrace has been approved by council to get in motion. The lands for the new building are in behind where the existing one is now. And that building has to be built because the license expires in 2025, and that's been underway for several years. So that's that one's good that's approved. And that's all I've got right at the moment. Next, we had members' privilege. I didn't receive anything in for members' privilege. Something I got yesterday in the email that is good news. Some of the grants are still slowly going through. Smart Transit just received approval that they got the joint grant from the province and federal government for vehicle funding for the next 3 years. So that'll help us out on the budget and still provide decent equipment for them to do that. Okay, so now we have the going into closed session. Moved by Jason, second by Michael. Be it resolved, council proceed into closed session at 10:16 in order to discuss matters related to personal matters about an identifiable individual. The subject is Ministry of Labor anonymous complaints. Employee negotiations. The subject is fire department stipend compensation. Litigation or potential litigation, and the subject is information requested by the township lawyer. Then that acting fire chief Derek Melnick, HR coordinator Kayla Best, public works manager Jim Alice, acting clerk Lindsay Green, and CAO Dave Milner remain in attendance. Any discussion on that? Barbara?
Thank you. Lindsay, can you just clarify, do we exit this meeting or do we stay in here and log in to another meeting? How are we doing? I know that you gave us instructions on closed session, but I didn't know if we're supposed to disconnect completely from here.
Yes, you disconnect completely from here, but it'll be left open. Alicia will monitor this, and then once we're out of closed, we'll connect back into this meeting and proceed with the rest of the meeting. So it just might take a few minutes, so we'll recess here and I'll open up the other, and then it just might take a few minutes, okay? But yes, you do all disconnect from here.
Okay, so I'll call a recess then till we get that, and we'll be back to this one after our closed session.